Like, not that I'm a big fighter, but how cool would it be if somebody like Danielle Brandon went up and just punched Tia Toomey in the face after an event because, oh, she cheated those reps, or she got in my way on the run, and that would just be such good publicity for the sport, and then maybe people would filter in and then CrossFit would blow up just because of the fact that, you know, these chicks are fighting on the field. Yo, so I've given myself a job, and that job is to talk about the things that most people in this CrossFit community are not talking about. And maybe just the things that the fitness community doesn't talk about. And I know that there's other people who do that, but there are not very many people in the CrossFit community who talk about the steroid issue. The fact that Katrin's burpees don't freaking count. Maybe they do count. I don't know. Plenty of people think they count. They play by the rules, whatever you want to say. Or Tia Toomey's deadlifts are out of control. But I'm also going to bring this into the realm of athletes that aren't being talked about. So they talk about Katrin, and CrossFit Mayhem has an awesome media team, and you know about all those people. But you may or may not know about the up-and-coming, you might, but if you know about them, there's a good chance that you've got some sort of connection to these people. And granted that my platform isn't that big, I would like to bring some light to Underdogs Athletics and Brute Strength. Underdogs is run by Justin Kotler, and Brute Strength is run by Matt Torres. All of this information is what I know. So I might be off by a bit here or there, and I'm willing to admit that I might be off a little bit here or there. And I believe those are the head coaches. They're what I can pick up on from things I've listened to on other podcasts like Savan, and through media accounts that I can follow on the internet, and competitions where I see these people actually performing. But the reason that these guys have to be talked about is because they're on a freaking rampage. They're coming for it, and they're going to be dominating this game season. You can already see it in the open. There's a bunch of those names at the top of the leaderboard that I'm going to talk about, and there's no freaking media team in CrossFit. There's none of this stuff that's being chatted about, and there needs to be some light brought to, because this is freaking cool stuff. And yeah, Rich Froning's really cool, and I love Rich Froning, and he's up there, and everyone's talking about, oh, look at that, and this, and Mayhem, blah, 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 and oh, Tia Toomey, she's winning, and, Mel O'Brien, because CrossFit pumps these people up because they're sponsored by Noble. When you're sponsored by Noble and you've got a connection to freaking company, they're all in cahoots. So when they're all in cahoots, the certain people get pumped up, and they're missing out on the people like Phil Toon, who's winning the dudes division over on the male side. They're not really talking about people like Dallin Pepper, who's really young, and James Sprague, who's coming up and throwing a freaking wrench into the open and doing awesome. Those are all people on the Brute Strength team down in Naples, Florida, and they're totally dominating. They've got Emma Carey down there, who, if it weren't for Mel O'Brien, would be talked about like none other. Maybe she'd have the Noble deal. I don't know what happened there. Don't have that sort of inside knowledge, but Emma Carey is a freaking beast. And over in Underdogs Athletics, you've got people like Danielle Brandon. You've got Bethany Shadburn. Bethany Shadburn, who's been around for a while. And I don't know what the difference is between somebody like her and someone like a Sarah Sigmund's daughter. Maybe it's because Sarah, who is a great person, cool, I really like her, she's one of my favorite females, is tied along with like the S. Langnick people and Annie Thor's daughter and Katra David's daughter. But Bethany Shadburn is like that top tier person who's been around for so long and is super freaking good, but no one seems to know or talk about her. It also looks like they've got Christine Best over there and Ellie Scuds and Carrie Pierce. Carrie Pierce is affiliated with freaking Underdogs Athletics over there, and I know she's retired and she's in and out from what I know. Like, she'll come in, she'll do a workout, she's doing her own thing, running a business. But Carrie Pierce, freaking best American CrossFit female of all time, is over there and not really talked about all that much. It's all about Tia Toomey, and it's all about Katra David's daughter. So here's me bringing some light to these people over in these camps. There's one over in California, and then there's one over in Florida, Naples. With these camps, they are creating a very CrossFit Mayhem-esque environment where there's all these people all working towards a similar goal, all with somebody at top, and at Mayhem it's Froning, but over in freaking Naples, Florida, it's Matt Torres running Brute Strength. All these people are coming on in. They even just pulled in Roman Krennikov, and I know Roman Krennikov isn't part of the Brute Strength team, but he still is looking for somewhere to train, and he's going to go train with these people because these people are on a fucking rampage. They're on the warpath. They're going to freaking go into the freaking semifinal and go into the CrossFit Games, then they're going to populate the entire podium, in my opinion. Not the entire podium, because freaking Patrick Vellner will be up there, and of course Justin Medeiros will be up there, but they're going to be trying to, pick a couple people off. I got a pretty good feeling about that. And then when you look over at the freaking females, you've got Emma Carey, who I know has a back injury, but she also, I think she could very well finish higher than Mel O'Brien. I know Mel O'Brien's working Matt Frazier, and that's so cool, and she's part of Noble. But then you've got Emma Carey, who's also 18 years old, and on her freaking profile it says she's got a 245 clean and jerk, which Matt O'Brien doesn't have. I know she's strong, and I know she's super jacked, but Carrie's got the 245 clean and jerk, and she's got the wild capacity, and I know she's got a back injury, but that can all be fixed because she's with the freaking killer team down in Florida. Over to the California side, you got the females who are looking to pick off the top of the leaderboard. I mean, you never know if Tia Toomey's ever... It's that scene in 300 where he throws the spear.
His target is far away. His roar is long and loud.
And he's trying to draw blood, and you're trying to draw blood from Tia Toomey. Let's see if she can bleed. Oh, if she can bleed, she's not a god. So maybe like the Daniel Brandons, Bethany Shadburns of the world can get something from Carrie Pierce and say, hey, what did you pick up on from Tia Toomey, and like, what can we do to take him the fuck down? They've got that super cool training camp. They've got Matt DeLugos over there, who was part of that Thunder from Down Under team down in Wadapalooza, and he's a freaking monster. He's like 8 feet tall, and he wins every workout that's got a rower in it. It can just rip the freaking handle off of it, and he's got an extreme power output. And he doesn't look like he's a monster, but he's a freaking monster on those ergs. He's like a Jason Hopper, but better. Jason Hopper, he gets all of this stuff because he won that semifinal, and then he worked with Matt Frazier, and then he got the Nike deal. But Matt DeLugos over there, you should know who Matt DeLugos is. And yes, shame on me for not really knowing much about these people. I know some of their backgrounds. I know they've kind of, gone to one area to compete. They have before that been working in spots, but they're having these training camps. And in the past, there have been training camps. The training camps looked something like OPEX in Arizona. And I remember they were the first people to sponsor athletes. And I do believe that these athletes may or may not be being sponsored to an extent or degree. Maybe they're just being put up so they can live there. But back in the day in Arizona, when I was a big competitor, it was 2017-ish, and they were pulling athletes down to the helm of OPEX, and they were going to be watched by James Fitzgerald in their individualized template. They were going to be sitting in the gym governed by James Fitzgerald, and you know what happened to all these people? They went to shit. And when I see that sort of thing, it's because they weren't working out together. They were all brought into a helm, and then, raising tide raises all ships. So if you have someone here doing their own thing and someone else here doing their own thing, because they're doing their own thing right next to each other, they're going to get better. That's not how it works. They need to be doing the thing with one another so that they get better together. That does seem to be what's happening. So you'll watch videos of James Sprague and Phil Toon doing snatch pulls together on the same blocks. They'll be switching back and forth, and that's very important. That's not something that was happening in OPEX. And you'll see workouts where Daniel Brandon's working out with Bethany Shadburn, and hopefully when you put those two heads together and they're working back and forth with one another, they can go ahead and they can take down the Tia Toomeys of the world. That would be super cool. It's good for the sport. Everybody just wants to talk about how good everything is, and that's not what drives a sport. What drives a sport is the stuff like the Bears and the Packers are rivals. They fight one another, and Aaron Rodgers will talk shit after he scores a touchdown, and then there's all this stuff, and the fans get mad at one another. It's like, oh, we hate Packers fans. It's like, oh, the Bears fans, you guys haven't been good in forever. And then there's things like the Patriots and the freaking world. Patriots in the world. Nobody likes the Patriots because the Patriots always win, or the Yankees and the Red Sox. Rivals are what's important. So who are the rivals of Tia Toomey? It's like, oh, everyone loves Tia Toomey. Look at how good Tia Toomey is. It's like not that I'm a big fighter, but how cool would it be if somebody like Daniel Brandon went up and just punched Tia Toomey in the face after an event because she cheated those reps, or she got in my way on the run, and that would just be such good publicity for the sport, and then maybe people would filter in, and then CrossFit would blow up just because of the fact that, these chicks are fighting on the field. Talk about other people. Hopefully some people can get on the same level as these people. Hopefully these camps can bring everybody up so that there are a little bit of rivals. And I know that it's like a very tight-knit community, and I know that I'm just the one over here who seems to be talking shit, but I also watch other sports. These CrossFit people don't seem to watch other sports. I like baseball. My favorite team is the Chicago Cubs. My buddy's favorite team are the Chicago White Sox. And then when we have conversations, it's always like, oh, well, we're on the up and up, and you guys peaked in freaking 2016, and you're all the way down, and we're going to be good forever. Fuck you. And now, wouldn't it be cool if there's some sort of Tia Toomey comes down a little bit, and then Daniel Brandon comes up, or Bethany Shadburn comes up, or Emma Carey comes up, and as they're coming up, you can say, oh, you had Tia Toomey for 5 years, and she's on the way out. Now we got Emma Carey, and we've been following Emma Carey while she's down in freaking Naples with these freaking killers, Phil Toon and James Sprague and Dallin Pepper, and all of a sudden we're all coming up together, and these young guns, they're up and at him. We're like the new age Chicago White Sox, and screw the Cubs, screw you, Tia Toomey. Like, Andrew, why do you hate Tia Toomey? It's like, I don't hate Tia Toomey, but I like a good narrative. The narrative is good. The narrative is what's important in sports. The biggest issue with CrossFit for the longest time was the fact that the narrative was driven by the entity that created it. It would be like if the MLB or the NFL was the only thing putting out its own content. So if the NFL was the only thing that put out its own content, everybody would just follow whatever the hell the NFL wanted to follow. So if the Jacksonville Jaguars, which are the worst team in the league every year in the NFL, wanted to be pumped out by the freaking NFL, everyone would know about them. So all of a sudden, if somebody wanted to talk about me, like if CrossFit's like, all right, we're going to talk about that dude hanging out in his garage, then everybody would know about me because CrossFit's talking about it. You can call that the Morning Chalk Up. The Morning Chalk Up talks about whatever the CrossFit wants to talk about. Like, why would you ever listen to them? Listen to me. Listen to the dude in his garage telling you about all the stuff that could be possibly cool. And you know what? The thing about fitness is it's always going to be pretty apparent what's going to be happening. I think that I've always had a pretty good finger on, all right, Froning's going to win again. This Frazier guy, he's got a chance. He's got a chance again. You can see how that's going to play out, usually. It looks like Tia Toomey will probably win again. But also the cool thing about sport and competition and the fact that Dave Castro is gone, this is a cool thing, is you don't know what's going to happen. Like, Tia Toomey's always won the CrossFit Games when it comes to the fact that Dave Castro wrote the workouts. So someone else is writing the workouts now. And Tia Toomey doesn't have this huge tenured history at other competitions doing different programs. So maybe a program not run by Dave Castro is something where somebody like an Emma Carey can come on in and just freaking take her out. Maybe there is no lifting. Maybe lifting's a thing of the past. There was no lifting in the open. You never know. And I'm speculating. What do I have to do? All I got to do is speculate. That's all I can do here. So to wrap up, talking about the cool camps, talking about the underdogs, talking about the brute strength, talking about these people who you may or may not have heard of. If you've heard of them, it's probably because you're like me and you follow this type of stuff. And maybe you talk to a couple of them. And when you talk to a couple of them, you find out that they're just having a good old time down there, having a good old time over there. There'll be more people like me. Maybe not me. Maybe if you want to go talk to somebody else. Maybe there's someone else out here who's better at making YouTube videos, who has more connections to these people, who doesn't just sit in their garage and talk. But until then, I'll do what I can. And while I'm doing what I can, you should follow me. Like, follow me on freaking Instagram. I know I just post a bunch of stories at this point in time, but my stories are where I kind of get the ideas for my topics. So if you want to talk to me on Instagram and send me some topics to talk about, I'd be more than happy to look into those things. And until maybe you just follow me on YouTube. And when you follow me on YouTube, you'll see that I put up 1,000 videos a day. Put up 1,000 videos a day because there's no other channels like this in freaking CrossFit where they're just going to talk about whatever, whenever, and they're not going to be governed by the body that sees over things. So if there's the Morning Chalk Up putting out content like, oh, the lake and the water, and well, they're telling you things they want to tell you. So don't listen to those freaking people. Listen to me, Andrew Hiller. Goodbye.